Hey everybody, Nick the Atomic Picker here, back in the eBay shed. I've got a few orders to pull. First thing that sold was a book, and it should be right down here. Yeah. Little book, little Bible sale, signs and symbols of the Bible. I think that's what that said. I'm reading it backwards in the camera, so hopefully, yeah. Bible signs and symbols. This sold for $25. This was an estate sale find that we picked up for $1, and we had it listed for $35. We got a $25 offer, and we sold it, and now I'm going to ship it. Feeling pretty bad because I can't show you any of the sales that we shipped out yesterday, but then I remembered I do have a, let's call it a visual aid to talk about one sale, and that is this right here. Now, this is a carburetor spacer that goes on an engine. Picked them up for $40 a piece, and the one that sold was a little bit different from this one. I'll go ahead and throw that screenshot up. That sold for $100. Don't have this one listed because this actually fits the carburetor in my truck, so I'm decided to keep it, and I'm going to install it as I'm going through and fixing the engine up. Speaking of the truck, let's go take a look at it because something really interesting happened to me and my son, Reagan, yesterday. Here she is in all of her pollen-covered glory. Anyway, I've been working on this, fixing it up, and one problem that we've been dealing with is the fuel system. And the fuel pump was bad, so I went and I purchased a new fuel pump right there and installed it. Put the new fuel pump on, we hooked everything back up, and we started it up and it was working great. It was like the first time in months where we were able to have the truck running. Yes, I was excited. And I knew that the truck didn't really have that much gas in it. So I told Reagan, I said, hey, stay here. I'm gonna go right up the street and fill it up with gas. You know, it's like a mile away, no big deal. I get maybe a quarter of a mile away from the house and the engine sputters and dies. So there I was, stuck on the side of the road, right pretty much in front of someone's driveway, blocking their driveway, just embarrassed and mortified because I don't know what happened. I don't know why it's not running. You feel like a failure. You feel hopeless because no matter what you do to try to fix things, stuff just happens and it's always something new to fix. Anyway, called my son Reagan, and he came to the rescue. Figured out that there'd be a blockage in the fuel line. It's got to be something either going on with the tank or the line in between the tank and the pump, because the fuel pump is running. It's running just fine. Then we both kind of realized at the same time that, hey, if we had a gas can, we could probably just put the fuel line in the gas can and get the truck home. So that's what we did.
Okay.
Reagan's risking his life holding the gas line into a gas tank. Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that we were able to get the truck home that way, but I promised him that we are going to make sure that everything is good with this fuel system. I don't care if I've got to put a new tank in it and everything up to the pump. We're going to make sure everything is good to go before we take it back out again. So that way he won't have to risk his life trying to get my piece of shit truck back to the house. Now we're going to talk about the biggest sale that we had of the week. And it's another personal item of mine that has just been sitting in the basement that I had no clue sold for hundreds of dollars on eBay. For the millennials in the house, this is a Microsoft Zune, and it is a Halo 3 edition. Microsoft owned Bungie, which was the video game company that created Halo, and they also decided to compete with Apple, making a MP3 player, and they called it the Zune. If you've seen the latest Guardians of the Galaxy movie, that is what Star-Lord listens to his sick tunes on, is a Microsoft Zune. I bought that Zune when Halo 3 came out back in 2007. I had no responsibilities back then. I believe I paid $250 for it, whatever it retailed for. Way back then, I used it for maybe 3 months, and then I put it back in its case and just put it in a bin, and it's just moved with me from my parents' house to my first house to the house we live in now. I'm so glad that part of me is the collector and wanted to keep everything associated with that Zune, because that was probably one of the key reasons that that Zune sold for $350 plus shipping, baby. We also had a few books and magazines go out, giving the grand total for this week for around $500 in sales. So glad that we had a good week of eBay. So glad I was able to sell something that was just hanging out in my basement for $350.